Russia is stepping up recruitment for its war on Ukraine with a new social media video. It appears to mock men into leaving their everyday jobs like security guards and taxi drivers to become, quote, real men in combat. CNN's Claire Sebastian is live in London. Okay, Claire, great to see you. I don't have much reaction there except for it seems, whatever they think will work. But what's the response been online and in real life?
Well, Emma, this is a pretty new campaign. That video came out just 2 days ago, so it's hard to assess at the moment its impact as a recruitment tool, but it's very clear that this is designed to recruit men directly into the war in Ukraine. The Ministry of Defense uses the tagline, which in Russian translates roughly as "join your own," and plays on the Russian acronym for Special Military Operations. So there's no doubt there. Look, I think, to be fair, a lot of armies do use recruitment videos that play on the ideas of confidence, of strength, of manhood in some ways. But this also speaks to Russia's challenges that it's having in recruiting trained personnel for the battlefield. We saw with that recruitment drive back in the autumn that they recruited 300,000 untrained personnel. I think this is an entirely different kind of recruitment that we're seeing now, using the special military operation, the war in Ukraine, as a recruitment drive in itself. We know they're trying to swell the ranks of their professional army by about 400,000 men. So clearly they are committing also these kind of PR resources to that. Obviously, it's jarring looking at it from outside of Russia, knowing what we know about the kinds of casualties they're facing on the battlefield. The latest leaked Pentagon documents suggesting that about 43,000 Russians have been killed in combat. That's just an estimate. But I think inside Russia, it's worth noting that public service announcements are pretty common. And secondly, that it is a country with very defined gender roles. So I think that play on the idea of manliness may be more effective than it seems from the outside.
Well, and you touched on the very serious aspect of this, which is there is a marked difference from what is being displayed in an ad versus the reality on the ground of the battlefield. Claire Sebastian, thank you so much.
Ukraine is making a new push to do one of the things that Russia tried to prevent with this invasion, to join NATO.
The Alliance's Secretary-General paid a visit to Kyiv on Thursday and met with President Volodymyr Zelensky, who made a new pitch for joining NATO, which could put it on a path to a military conflict with Moscow. The NATO leader didn't offer any timelines to Kyiv, but did say this.
Ukraine's future is in the Euro-Atlantic family. Ukraine's future is in NATO.
Moscow responded to Stoltenberg's visit, saying that keeping Ukraine out of NATO remains one of its military goals. Now, Ukraine's allies are meeting in Germany to consider next steps in their assistance to Kyiv.
US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin just spoke ahead of the meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. It's happening at the Ramstein Air Base with defense ministers and other officials from more than 50 countries taking part. And this all comes as we're getting word of a new Russian drone strike on Ukraine's capital. Claire Sebastian is covering this for us this morning. Claire, what is Zelensky hoping will be achieved at this meeting about Ukraine?
So at the Ramstein Contact Group meeting, this is all about coordinating and organising new weapon supplies, essentially, for Ukraine. And I think his top priority right now is air defence. We know, certainly, and this is sort of uncomfortable context to the meeting for the US, but we know from those leaked Pentagon documents that the belief is that while Ukraine might have a slight edge when it comes to ground forces because of the new weapons that it's been getting from the NATO allies, the vulnerability is with air defense. We've seen that just now overnight with those attacks, the drone attacks on the capital, for the first time, according to the head of the military administration in Kyiv, for the first time in 25 days. But it is the second such overnight barrage of drones this week. That continues to be a part of the playbook. They are pushing for more air defense. And I think the second thing coming off that NATO meeting in Kyiv with the NATO Secretary-General, who, by the way, has just arrived at Ramstein, is security guarantees ahead of that summit in Vilnius. Take a listen to what Jens Stoltenberg had to say just a few moments ago.
President Zelensky and I also discussed the preparations for the upcoming NATO summit in Vilnius in July. I have invited him to attend the meeting, and I'm glad that he has accepted the invitation and will attend the NATO summit in Vilnius. All NATO allies have agreed that Ukraine will become a NATO member.
Well, President Zelensky attending the NATO summit in Vilnius in Lithuania in July will certainly be very unwelcome optics for Moscow. The NATO Secretary General also saying he expects more weapons pledges this week, but he said that some of the focus will be on what he called the more boring stuff, right? So sustaining the existing weapons platforms they already have, fuel, ammunition, maintenance, parts, all of that stuff to keep the things they've already got going on the battlefield.
Claire Sebastian, thank you so much.